Testing, testing. Just a testing, testing. Just a testing, testing. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. Welcome to Wimbledon Spiritualist Church, where the power of spirit is ever present and we embrace an independent perspective. It's good to see familiar and new faces in our congregation and online, and we say a big hello to everyone joining us on YouTube and Facebook. It's a pleasure to introduce our guest medium today, Stephen Mayger from Chichester, who will introduce himself and open our service in prayer following my opening reading. This is entitled Ascent. In the quiet hush between two worlds, where breath becomes a bridge of light, we feel the stir of unseen wings on Easter's softly waking night. No stone can seal the soul's ascent, no grave can hold what love has freed. For life is more than flesh and bone, it blooms in every thought and deed. The veil grows thin, we sense them near, those voices carried in the air. Not gone, but risen into truth, in currents of eternal care. And so we celebrate rebirth, not just of one, but all who are, each spirit kindled from within, a deathless, ever-guiding star. And now I will welcome Stephen to give us the opening prayer. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. You just join me in a few moments of silence. Just blend with your own energy, your own spirit. Feel the earth beneath your feet and the beauty of the world all around you as you sit. And we ask our loved ones and the divine spirit to draw close to us this morning, to offer us insights that are clear into our lives and our spirit. Open us up to our ancestors and our teachers, our guides and helpers. And we ask for a healing blessing to be put upon us all this morning, both here and far. Send that love out to all your loved ones, both in spirit and here on earth. Those who are going through troublesome times, that need that peace and upliftment that this spiritual truth brings into our lives. And we ask that you keep us in that beautiful energy this morning as we sit. Amen.
Thank you, Stephen. Now, please join me to still our minds and open our hearts as we pray for all those people, children, and animals in need of spiritual healing, love, and light across the planet, in places of war and conflict, nations affected by natural disasters, everyone involved in rescue operations and foreign aid, our National Health Service, the selfless doctors and nurses who work tirelessly for our well-being. We pray for peace in our time and the abolition of atrocities and violence. And we thank the power of the Holy Spirit for giving us strength and hope in times of doubt and despair. We include at this time the following names from our church healing list: Jane, Daphne and Ivor, Leslie Moulton, Jackie and Ray, Anne Hopkins, Jenny and Carol Burgess, Ray Parrett, Lee Oswald, James Lean, Jeff Williams, Steve and Kelly, Fabrice, Emily Rose, Alex, Rose May, Jean-Claude, Fiona, Ruben, Valerie, John and Jean Clark, and Ruby. We now move our attention into the healing silence to be followed by the serenity prayer, which we will say together. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. My second reading will be followed by Stephen's address. Easter celebrates the awakening of the divine essence within our inherent nature. It is the celebration of the soul's ability to transcend the human experience and rise into a higher state of being. From a spiritual perspective, Easter signifies the triumph of consciousness over physical limitations, the eternal nature of the soul, and the triumph of spiritual light over physical darkness, highlighting the resurrection as a symbol of humanity's innate divine nature and eternal life. Easter celebrates the awakening of the divine essence within us. It is the celebration of the soul's ability to transcend the human experience, and rising into a higher state of being, Easter celebrates the awakening of this divine essence. Spirit guides emphasize that Easter is about personal rebirth, the awakening of spiritual Christ consciousness, and encouraging the removal of stones of fear and limitation, embracing one's higher self both metaphorically and spiritually, and empowering believers to move towards happiness and freedom of spiritual and creative self-expression. Jesus' resurrection demonstrated that mortal bodies can be transformed and that humanity can conquer the fear of death, which is seen as a transition into an etheric body. Jesus is seen as a way shower who demonstrated that we can transcend physical limitations, offering a model for our own spiritual mastery and personal rebirth. I'd like to share these comments on the origins of Easter by Emma Tuzio. Emma is a nature lover, artist, writer, photography enthusiast, and well-being arts tutor, just meandering through life on the road less traveled, treading lightly on this beautiful planet, sowing seeds of inspiration, hope, and grace. She says, Easter is one of the most favorite seasonal celebrations, a time of great hope, unlimited potential, and the miracle of rebirth. Although it is seen as a Christ holy day, its roots lie in earth-based spirituality practices that far precede the birth of Christ. Unearthing these ancient roots helped to enrich my celebrations with greater reverence and soulful significance. Disillusioned by modern celebrations, I seek to reconcile my relationship with what Easter has become and find ways of celebrating that feel true to me. On a more mystical level, Easter can be seen as a time to connect to the Christ consciousness within, to the infinite light of our eternal divine essence, beyond the physical form. I always feel this energy ardently at this time, so it is a wonderful opportunity to tap into this transformative process. Transpersonal psychotherapist Sophie Neville explains this perfectly. Jesus was given the name Christ, meaning anointed one, as he was a human who was fully awake to the divine self. Like a wise older brother, he came to remind us of our true divine potential, to show us that the kingdom of heaven does not lie somewhere outside of ourselves, but actually within us. He was awake to his divine perfection and came to show us that full embodiment of Christ consciousness is a potential for all of us. What I can do, ye shall do, and more. From this perspective, Easter can be seen as a symbol reminding us of the true reason we came to earth. By Jesus being crucified and then resurrected, he was showing us the journey that on some level we must all symbolically take. The crucifixion of our egoic and separate self and the resurrection of our infinite wholeness, and divine Easter as a beautiful time to remember the sacred and holy light within, to celebrate it and to remember the real reason he chose to come here at this time. However you choose to celebrate, may Easter be blessed as a bountiful time of loving connection, creative inspiration, and immense joy. Thank you. And I will now invite Stephen to give us his address.
Good morning again. I've been working on the platform for a bit over 10 years now, and every year and every day, it feels like a new journey. You're just equally as nervous every time you stand on a platform. And when I sort of start to reflect on not only my own spiritual journey, but our collective one, where we've sort of come from, not just as a spiritualist movement, but as part of this sort of greater family, where we've all grown up with Christian sentiment either in our lives or around it. And Easter's always been a time for us to reflect on Jesus and his life. But we also look at the bigger picture, the people that came before us, our ancestors, and the ancestors in the Bible. When you go back as far as Abraham, sort of nearly 6,000 years ago, they would sacrifice a calf because they were in the age of Taurus, and they were very much aligned with the astrology of the day. And as we move forward into the age of Aries, it was a time when Moses led his people out of Egypt into the promised land. And they celebrate the Passover with the lamb as a representation of that time. And if you look at the meaning behind the age of Taurus, moving into the age of Aries, and you look at the development of the human character, the age of Aries really became a time of empires, of kingship, and also of war and conquest. But it was also this spreading of civilization and a way of being around the Holy Land and the world. And we saw at the end of the age of Aries, Jesus born, a Lamb of God, and he became a fisher of men in the age of Pisces. The age of Pisces was a time of faith, of spirituality, but very much the individual, to have that individual relationship with the divine. And spiritualism recognizes that in its most potent form, this communion with God that we can all have internally. And that's what Jesus brought. But we see ourselves now moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aries, into the age of Aquarius. And if you do some homework and read up on it, you'll probably find it fascinating to see all the meaning of the age of Aquarius is innovation, is community, it's breaking down of old paradigms. And it's moving from the individual spirituality to a collective one, where we will once again join together in a sort of harmony. And although our churches may not always be filled today, we have people online. We have a community, a global community building around the world. And although we might not see them physically, we know that collectively there are more and more people who are finding their spirituality in whatever form and flavor and color it might be. And we all recognize the three major gifts that Jesus left us to do. And they were to cast out demons. This is the role of therapists. Demons are those addictions and bad habits that we have to struggle to shake off. And quite often to sort of get over a bad habit, you have to fill it with a good one. You replace one addiction for food with an addiction for exercise, an addiction for beauty and to get out and walk and enjoy life. And one of the other gifts he taught was the gift of healing, the laying on of hands on or near the body, or using that absent healing that we know is so strong. And as said, Jesus said that people will come to this earth and do what he did and better. And if you look at Harry Edwards, the greatest, most documented healer that's ever lived. And then he went on to ask us to raise the dead, which is another way of saying mediumship, proving the survival of the soul beyond that change that we call death. And so we saw the rise of mediumship through spiritualism. And we had Gordon Higginson, who is arguably the greatest medium that ever lived, all within the last century. And since the 50s, since 1952, spiritualism, mediumship was legally recognized. And we've got this window for the first time in human history where mediumship is not only legally recognized, we are here practicing it for each other and the world to see without any condemnation. Though we just talking before, even in this church and my church in Portsmouth, just a few decades ago, people would gather outside and protest because they didn't want any mediumship taking place. They wouldn't come in and experience it with us. They would do this from outside. But once you've actually experienced that communion and that harmony, and once you've seen mediumship working, you realize that our ancestors and the ancestors that preceded them are very much alive, and they're very much part of the continuity of life. That when we pass over, we take with us all the lessons learned from this life. And even in those near-death experiences of people who have no faith and no religion and no jargon in their mind to relate to, they have these powerful experiences of the afterlife, that they see loved ones who have passed before them, sometimes where they didn't even know those loved ones had passed yet. And on their return, they've remembered this experience they've had and reported it back to people, confident that it was a reality to them. And this has become scientific literature for us to investigate. For all these experiences we've had in the last 180 years of spiritualism, the harmony that it is showing with our ancestors' faiths and our brothers and sisters around the world. We all believe in this God force. We all believe in higher beings and angelic assistance and supernatural intervention. And we also believe in the eternal existence of the human soul. And much in our 7 principles, the 4th principle is the continuous existence of the human soul, the individual spark. But the 7th principle talks about the eternal progress of every human soul, where we've gone from the individual to the collective, just as we see with the passing of the ages and the evolution of the human soul. All is as it should be, working hand in hand with the Spirit to bring that truth onto the earth. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that inspirational address. Can I ask everybody to switch their mobile phones to silent, please? Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Rose May to take the offertory in church. Anyone wishing to make a free will donation may do so on the following link, which is also listed on our Wimbledon Spiritualist Church Facebook pages. This is www.paypal.com/paypalme/LAD-proms. That's www.paypal.com/paypalme/LADPROMS. Thank you, Rosemary. Stephen will now demonstrate his mediumship, and I would ask, please, that if a spirit communicator is drawn to you with a message, church members, please respond with a clear yes or no to the statement, or if in doubt, just say, I'm not sure, and Stephen can then ask spirit for further clarification. It's important for him to hear your voice, as this is the conduit of the energy which spirit need to make a strong connection. Please, can I also ask church message recipients to speak clearly into the handheld microphone? Thank you. Over to you, Stu.
Okay. Well, I work mostly with clairvoyance and clairsentience. I sort of feel them in my being, and I see them in my mind's eye. I sometimes hear them or I see words, but quite often I might have more than one person communicating with me at the same time. And I have to figure out that I've got two communicators at once. And so your response will most likely help me realize if I'm with you or not. Plus, my eyesight isn't very good. So I'm going to struggle not to misgender anyone. If I am drawn to you, my direction is sometimes a little bit off. But as I'm sitting here speaking or standing here speaking, I feel this lady coming in very close to me. And I feel with this lady, I feel I want to draw back with her. Like towards the end, I must have just pulled back away from people. And I must have, in my words, retired. And I sort of took to my darkened room, as it were. And I didn't really want to have a lot of company around me. And I feel that I was a little bit short with people, but I was just trying to deal with my ailments and my mood as well. I feel very much like a mother. And I feel that with this mother, you understand how I'm saying this because I found it very difficult to communicate it. And the offers of help were all there. And I felt I wanted to keep my dignity and my power as I drew towards the end of my life. But I felt that people needed to insist on helping me. With this lady, I feel that there was a lot of fun and laughter in the earlier days, and that we had led quite a full life as a family. But I do feel a lot of tragedy in my life, both before I had children, in my much younger years, and towards the end of my life as well. And I feel with this lady a very sense of pride in the family, because although I was quite a linchpin at one point, everyone went off their separate ways in the family, but they all tended to do very well. And they have kept in touch over the years, and that fills me with a lot of joy. I do feel drawn over to this side. Is there anyone who understands this communicator? No. I feel with this lady a sense that I was quite well educated at first, and I spoke very well, and I read quite prolifically. And I used to love speaking about the books that I read with people. I was mostly drawn to great books like Dickens and poetry. You do understand this, Lee? Okay. And I also understand with this lady, with my illness, I was very quiet about it. I didn't speak about it. And had I done so, there was a lot more help out there than I thought. You understand this. And I just feel with her, especially at Easter, because I feel quite a religious background with this lady, that although I might have not been very strong in faith myself, as I was greeted into the spirit world, I was comfortable. Okay, so I feel that she was able to let go and allow her soul to move on. I feel that was because of a lot of help that she was given, and I can feel hands on my hands as I'm passing. And I feel a little tear in my eye as I say this, because the gratefulness is eternal with this lady. And as I was saying, she's so proud that the family have all gone to do their own thing, but they still have a communication, and they speak of her fondly as well. And she's very much appreciative of that. So I'm going to leave her love with you. And she wishes you a very happy Easter. God bless you. I feel this beautiful gentleman standing into my energy. And this gentleman comes in with a sense of pride again as well. But I feel a very happy gentleman. I feel a mischievous nature with him. And I feel very much as a father. But even though I feel as a father, I feel as you grew as an adult, we were very much on the same level. That I now respect you as an equal, not just as my offspring, if you see what I mean. And with this gentleman, he must have been standing a little bit shorter than me, quite a slim gentleman, but I'm also feeling quite a strong man. He must have worked very hard in his youth and from quite a young age, I believe, all the way up until he took retirement. I'm feeling a very practical man. I'm seeing one of those old petrol lawnmowers. I used to really take good care of my gardens. But I feel with this gentleman, he must have been taken away very suddenly. So although I feel I managed to get to an old age, I think everyone was surprised when I went. We all thought there was going to be a few more years in me. I do feel very drawn to the gentleman at the back. You've got the sun shining on your head there. And if this isn't a father, I feel very much like a father uncle type of energy with this gentleman. Do you recognize?
Not at the moment.
Okay. With this gentleman, I've just got this sense that there would have been some grey areas over a period of his life. Okay, so I feel that there's this national service period of my life, and then this very grey area. And then later in life, I feel that I spoke about it with some people. Would you understand that at all? If
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly, okay. I'm just asking him to make sure I'm with you there. Okay. There must have been an issue with this gentleman's eyesight, and I'm not seeing him with any glasses on. So it feels that he was a bit of a belligerent person with this, and it became quite obvious to everyone that he couldn't see very well, but he was very determined and he continued along with his life without any glasses on, sort of making his way as best he could.
Yes.
And what I'm feeling is he loved to be outdoors, and I love taking a walk through the park. And I know everybody and everybody knows me. And the conversations I have with everybody seems to uplift their day as much as mine. And when I passed, everybody must have known, because the one day they didn't see me, they must have known something was wrong. And would you understand that with this?
Yes.
Yeah. And it was very much one day he was there, the next nothing. Because I feel with him, he kind of liked that about him. He had been like that before, and he only really settled later in life when he started to take stock. And I feel there's some regrets with this gentleman, because if only he had been more friendly earlier in life, because I feel very focused as a young man. And this is where some of the grey areas are, because I feel that he had to start over again in life.
Yes.
Okay. And if I haven't been so forthcoming in life and in spirit since I've passed, it's because those days to me didn't reflect the person I became. And it was the person I became I want people to remember me for.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. He makes me feel with yourself that there's a great sense of pride in the family as well. That there are younger generations today where all the worry that was there in their childhood is gone now in their adulthood, that they have made their life and they're having children and enjoying life and building up their careers and paying off their mortgages. And he's very much concerned with these people, because I just feel as a bit of a recluse in his earlier years, he never got to really enjoy being a family. And now he sees it in the family. he's really enjoying not only seeing the family together, but also seeing his own personal traits coming out in the children that are being born today.
Yes.
Okay. And he's got a lot of love for, there's a particular family, and I feel that the mother and the father have just overcome a lot of very difficult circumstances, and they have I feel that there's two children that they've had, and they have come through such a very difficult time, and their bond is even stronger than it was before they went through those difficult times. Would you understand this?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And he wants to send their love to them, especially because I feel he didn't get a chance to know them well enough when he was alive. Okay. Okay. And I feel he also wants to personally thank you for giving him an opportunity for forgiveness. Would you understand that?
That part, no.
Okay.
No, it doesn't resonate.
Right. Because I feel with this gentleman, he's had to find forgiveness in himself at the very least.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Okay. There's I don't know why, he's showing me images of a Doc Martens boot type, and it looks like it's being polished to the nth degree. It's looking very well cared and maintained. I don't know why he's given me that to you, but I think you'd understand it.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. I'm going to leave his love with you, and he wishes you a blessed Easter as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
As I feel this lady coming in and blending with me, and I had to catch my breath with her. I feel quite a breathless lady, and I feel that this went on for quite a while, that it became almost part of her character. She's a very busy lady, always out of breath, always very busy. And she's showing me that she was a little bit overweight and her health was suffering, but she never really addressed it too much. She was just always of a very positive, very colourful nature. And she was very much of the Christian sentiment that there's always someone worse off than you are. So you need to do something, and always sort of, in a sense, leave a little bit there extra for those who are in need. You know, that Christian sentiment of always making more than enough food. Should a stranger need to pop by and need feeding, there is always more. There's always a spare plate. And with this lady, I can always smell the sort of very floral aromas around her. And again, very colourful outfits, very colourful shirts, scarves. She would have been very sociable as well. And she used to be a little bit anxious, despite her sort of very sometimes pushy nature. She was actually quite an anxious lady, and she struggled with crowds, but she was quite, she would persevere. That was one of the words that people would always think of her, someone that endured and persevered. And although I feel very much like a mother, I feel with this energy that there might have been a bit of a distance between us at some point. And I feel mostly because the family, not so much because of myself, but the family was sort of separated or torn a little bit by circumstances, she's telling me. And I do feel drawn towards the front here, but does anyone understand this lady as I'm describing her? Because I feel this lady, I do feel very much drawn to this lady here. This lady might not be mother, but I feel very close in the family, like a mother, auntie. Would you understand this lady at all?
Things you said remind me of my mother-in-law, but not all of that.
Okay, not all of it. Okay. Mother-in-law sort of struck a chord with me there, because I do feel a lot of love for you. and appreciation. But again, there's this distance. So I just feel that there was this time possibly where you didn't have a lot of communication with each
There
other.
was a year where we didn't speak.
Right,
Yes.
okay. And there's a lot of regret over that. And I feel that she should have been the bigger person.
She should have been.
Yes. Oh, and like I say, quite an emotional lady. She must have tried to hide it a little bit, but I do feel tears, both of regret and joy, as I connect with you here. And also this sense of you were a great mother yourself, you know, and probably a better mother than she felt she was. And I
thought that, yes.
okay, and there might have been a little bit of jealousy over this,
Yes.
because she was impressed, but felt a little bit inadequate sometimes.
Yeah, she never
Okay.
told me she was impressed.
But I feel that there was just this, you know what people are like. Sometimes it makes you look clever to find something wrong instead of look for all the things that are right. You know, yeah.
Her son, you see.
And I think, you know, there's that saying, some people can find the cloud in every silver lining.
Indeed.
And
yes,
you know,
people like that.
yes, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, you know, and she feels so silly because it was a battle of wits, you know, a battle of wills. And I feel that she was kind of brought up like that way, and she shouldn't have carried it on. She knew better, you know, and it feels that if she had an opportunity to apologize personally, I think she would. Okay, which
She did mellow at the end.
Right. It feels that her passing as well was a little bit difficult for her. I feel this anxiety, not quite very strong in my faith, but I feel, as I say that, welcomed very quickly into the spirit world and quite a good communicator, really. She had a presence about her, and if only things could have been different, you could have been quite good friends.
Could have been,
Okay.
yes. I wanted to be.
But she's making me aware must be a family photo of you and the family that she had at one point, and it's like this was the last thing she thought of as she closed her eyes, was this family image of you, the kids, in this sort of family portrait photo or
I
something.
think put one in her coffin.
Right,
Because
wonderful.
she died at this time of the year.
Bless.
And we put a Mother's Day tribute.
Oh, that's beautiful. Her whole nature, as she blends with me, is just electric. You know, she wants to bring a lot of upliftment and excitement into the world, because I feel she was given so much, and to get the opportunity to be able to thank you and to apologize, it feels great to her, because it's part of our own spiritual growth here and hereafter, you know, and it feels that it means a lot to her to be able to say it to you. Okay, so if I leave her love with you, God bless you.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another quite a strong female energy stepping into my aura, and she's making me feel not just like a mother. I feel like a mother to a lot of young ladies for some reason. I don't know if this lady was like a teacher, possibly at an all-girls school, and she's making me aware that in her life, she's very well educated and well spoken, and she used to have a very strong love of classical music and the arts. She was brought up very, very much in that environment. But I feel also someone who was equally at home, walking into a saloon bar and talking with the working men. You know, she had this aura about her, and I feel also quite a politically minded lady, someone who would be very much involved in community efforts and would would be quite a persistent pain in the local council's plans for changing things in the area. I feel I want to go back a generation with this lady. I don't know if I'm quite a mother or a grandmother, but I do feel quite old school with this lady. And I do feel very drawn to the lady just in front of me there. Do you recognize any of this? I'll forget about the school thing for a minute because I just feel the character of this lady is very much very artistic, very clever, well read, and articulate. The idea about the all girls school, I just feel she's very comfortable in female company, not so much with male company. Okay. And not a very hardened feminist, that was where her mind was, you know. She felt that the men all had plenty of encouragement. I need to encourage women. Okay. Would you understand this lady? Maybe a mother, but might be more of a grandmother.
Maybe my grandmother.
Okay. So you understand the very strong feminist sentiment with this lady. She wasn't anti-men, she was just very pro-ladies, okay? And she wanted women to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with men at every level. And so she was about confidence and education. And I feel this was passed down through the family as well. I feel more like a grandmother than a mother, but I feel mother was brought up well by her, and it runs in the family that you have a very strong confidence passed down. Would you understand that?
No.
Okay. Right. How I feel with this lady is that there's this a recognition of what you are compared to her, that they're very similar in your character, and persistence, that you yourself, it feels that she's telling me that you've had to persist and repeat something until you got it the way you wanted it. Okay. And you've really knuckled down with your life to build what you need, because you didn't want to have to rely. You found yourself very independent and motivated.
Yes.
Okay. And with that came a lot of responsibility that you weren't expecting. And she's very impressed with the way that you took it on, because as I was seeing with her, I think she was showing me your qualities and I was describing them as her own, if you see what I mean. Okay. And not only that, she's telling me you had to start again a couple of times, where a lot of people would have failed and they would have said, right, I'm obviously not succeeding at this. You just realized that you just needed to do it again and you'd have it just right. Okay. And since then, you've been very free in your mind, because not too much pride in yourself, but you'd achieved something and realized you had the confidence to achieve whatever you wanted. Okay. I'm also aware with this lady that she would have liked to have traveled more in her life, but she never really did. Whereas you've actually traveled, and you've had a worldly education as well as a scholarly education. Okay. She is showing me a certificate on the wall that you're very proud of, that you worked very hard for. Would you understand this? I think it might just be symbolic then, because your independence is your achievement, you know. With this lady, I feel that there was a sense of, and I don't know if she's talking about yourself, but a fear of flying. Okay, so I feel that she wanted to go on a boat rather than in the sky. Okay, would you understand that, or is this?
I don't know.
Or is this with yourself? You prefer?
No.
Okay.
Fly.
I just feel with this lady, the idea that she didn't quite have the world open to her as we do now.
Yes.
Okay. now she's showing me this little village somewhere, and it's so colourful, full of flowers, that there's sort of these two hillsides either side, and there's like a little village and a church in the middle, and the flowers that have just erupted all over this village are quite special. Now, I don't know if you understand this.
No.
She's showing me this image, and it's obviously this time of year. So I feel that both with herself and you, it's this time of year that you really come alive.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think it's true for all of us
Yeah.
to a degree, but especially I'm trying to see what it is she's trying to show me. And she's just a very colourful person. And I feel in your spirituality that you're very drawn to flowers and aromas, and a lot of your extrasensory perception is with color and aroma rather than tangible spirit communicators as such. But I feel this. I'd even like to. I feel that you're a therapist of some sort, and that you have this ability to understand how to put people into a relaxed state, you know. And you're very interested in the mind and the processes of the mind. And this lady would have loved to have studied this, but it just wasn't open to her in her day. But it was, she's telling me, it was the talk of the town at the time. Psychology was this new science and new art, and she heard all about it, but it was a man's world at the time, and almost closed to her. But she finds it fascinating the way that you work and the way that you process your experience, and it feels that you're sharing it with her quite openly, even though you might not be specifically speaking to her. It feels that when you're sitting there with your thoughts and your ideas, that you are conversing with your guides and higher beings. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's saying you're very open to their response as well. And I'm seeing a little bowl in front of me with water and petals on it, and almost scrying into this water and being just being impressed with ideas and spirit while I'm sitting there looking in this water. I also feel that it's more than just Easter. There's a big celebration for you around this time of year. I don't know if it's a birthday or something that you celebrate this time of year as well, but I just feel she wants to celebrate it with you. Might be anniversary of her passing, something like this, but I feel she's come in with that energy, and she's very, very happy with all the sunflowers here this morning. These obviously would have been flowers she would have had everywhere around her. So I'll leave her love with you.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you. I have a gentleman coming in close to me, but I also feel a lady with him, and they're drawing me to my ring finger. And I feel that this is a couple that shared life together, as they're telling me, that from the moment they were in the old-fashioned way, they were betrothed to each other, promised to each other at a young age, and they fulfilled that and got married and went on to have a very, very strong partnership. And it feels that they must have passed very close to each other because they couldn't live without each other. And they continue to be very strong in people's lives in the family now. With the gentleman, and both the lady and the gentleman, I feel that they weren't very tall. They were probably, he was only a little bit taller than her. And they made this absolutely perfect, unique couple. I feel the love between them was what everyone in the family aspired to have. With the lady, I feel that she was very much the boss, very much in charge, and the matriarch of the family. But I feel the two of them would never, ever have a crossword with each other in front of anyone. And if they ever had one in behind closed doors, they must have got over it very quickly because they were always seen in each other's company as very close. Although I feel very much on the grandmother link, but also I feel that there's so many in the family that they're obviously grandparents and parents. And I feel drawn more to the back with this connection. I feel with this gentleman, quite a practical man. I feel that in my family, there were a lot of men, a lot of brothers, and I feel many of them passed in the war. And so that I was very much appreciative that I had the opportunity to go on to have a family like I did. Does anyone recognize this so far? Sorry, the gentleman there with the cap, I keep being drawn to you with this one, so I'm not.
I was just waiting for more
Right. Okay, I'm asking them.
evidence. This could be my grandparents.
Okay. And I feel very much, you know, we left quite a mark, and it's like people say in the family, they all aspire to be a couple, you know, as strong as a relationship as they had. And people still talk about them today in the same way. And they make me feel very liberal, you know, they didn't expect much from you except politeness, you know.
Yeah.
And all they expected was that you were polite and happy. It
Yes.
didn't matter what you did in life, where you went, how much money you had. You were raised up as a perfect human being by them, you know.
Yeah.
That they filled people with confidence and they shared love.
Yeah.
I'll never hear them condemning anyone. They were kind to unkind people, and everybody would be there for them, although they were the type of people that were there for everyone else. They never really needed anything because the way that they were and the life that they lived, it was a sort of shared community.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they were, how do I put this? He goes, we would welcome outsiders,
Yeah.
but they would have to sort of just, it's almost like their magnetism only attracted the nicest people to them, you know?
Yeah.
And a very hard act to follow in the family.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel with this gentleman especially, although this lady wants to make herself known, the gentleman's taken a lot of pride again in the way you have really opened your mind.
Thank you.
Okay, and that you've been reading books you wouldn't normally have read, and you've gone through this almost hermit stage, and come out of it full circle. You know, that there was this not despair from yourself, but despair for the world.
Yeah.
And your outlook has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Because you kind of, and he's telling me that you've had this sort of gift of being slightly less ordinary than everyone else since you were a little child.
Yeah.
And it has always, if anyone was going to be the spiritual one in your family, it was going to end up being you. Okay. But you just had to go around the ways to get there, because you needed the life experience to understand it.
Yeah.
And he's saying you've had life experiences that really strengthened your resolve, but it also showed you what we're capable of for the negative.
Thank you.
He's telling me once again, you know, you can judge your soul by the things you do when no one's looking. Yeah. And so he's very proud of you as both as a young man and also as a mature man.
Thank you.
He goes, standing shoulder to shoulder with him, you know. And he says there's a lot of opportunity for you to spread your wisdom with people, you know, and you've got this canny gift of knowing who to share it with and who not to, you know, and you know how to talk to all sorts of different people.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, just be careful what you wish for, because you're putting that promise out there to the divine creator, he can move mountains and do all wonderful things. Don't be surprised when you get a string of people with problems that you can very easily help just with a kind word and a smile.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
And he's laughing and just giving a few 50p's out here and there. You'd let you know, because you've got this compassionate soul, and so where you see an opportunity to give, you do.
You.
But you're also mindful that not everyone can be helped.
Yeah,
And sometimes people just need to wallow in their own self-pity until they find the strength. And you've learned to know when to intervene and when not to.
yeah.
Okay. And with this lady especially, there's a lot of love, because I don't know if there was a strong connection when you were younger.
As a child. Yeah.
As a child, but it feels that this lady, where he sees you as the grown man you are, she still sees a little child that she would like to pick up and play with. Okay. And I don't quite know what it is you're going to go on to do today, but they're seeing this big smile on your face. That there's just this enjoying the day and being present. So I'm going to leave their love with you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.
I don't normally get names. I feel that I've heard the name Jemima or Jem or something like that called out. It might have nothing to do with this next communicator, but I'm just acknowledging hearing it. Hey, I'm blending with this lady now, and I feel very much that once again, my breath has been taken away from me. I'm feeling like towards the end, I must have really struggled with my breathing. I must have struggled to get to places and even to get to the doctors. And it feels that I never really asked for help. And it was only when someone finally kind of persuaded me and intervened that I started to listen and to acknowledge my health. And I feel also that my mind started to deteriorate and I was unable to really process what I was doing. And I feel that it was a handful of people who sort of got together and decided that they needed to intervene. And they got me well looked after. And I didn't have much long after this until I passed. But I feel that I have so much to thank them for, because otherwise I might have just passed at home on my own. And because of their intervention, I was able to get my affairs in order, and I passed peacefully, looked after by nurses, and I feel it's a home, maybe a hospice, and this was all because of this intervention, and it made me die with dignity, and I want to be very thankful for it. And although I feel a sort of family connection, I'm not quite sure what it is. So does anyone understand this information? I feel either yourself or a group of people intervene to help this lady get into a home. And
family myself, we try to encourage her because,
right.
yeah, I'm not 100%, but she doesn't encourage to go because she's blankly saying she had a condition.
Okay.
When I see her, it was not good.
Because what it feels is if other people hadn't have intervened, I would have been not totally unaware, but just plodded along, and it would have got, she's saying it would have got very, very messy for me. But because of this intervention, I was looked after and I didn't suffer as much as I would have done. I was able to get the kind of care that I needed.
What I can say with respect is, it's because her sister come to me and said, Shelley, the lady in question, I think is over the other side, was blanking it, saying she needs to go to the hospital, etc., etc. And finally she went to it.
Because I feel that there were things like she needed fluids draining and things like this. If she hadn't had that intervention, it would have been very, very horrible for her. She would have been in a lot.
I don't know the whole situation, wasn't there all the time, but I know she went from one hospital to another, like a Marsden job.
Because I feel that she's had there must have been this confusion in her mind as well. And I feel that since her passing, whether she's been able to acknowledge it or not, it feels that there's this need and want to thank everyone involved and to recognize that, you know, she wasn't that aware that she was coming towards her end because the way her mind was. So without that intervention, she feels Lord only know how she would have ended up, you know. And it was only because of this intervention that was seen by the right people and not just anyone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, basically, what I'm thinking of, the lady in question, my cousin, she was basically forced to go to the doctors almost. Not forced, you know, but they kept saying, you need to go to the doctors
Yeah.
or somewhere. And when she did, and I know you don't need to feed her too much, the doctor checked her and what's this all about? You know?
Because I feel, you know, much like from the spirit, in life, she wasn't the greatest communicator, very shy, a little bit anxious, and didn't like asking for too much. You know, didn't like asking for herself as much as she should have done. And this is why, you know, and
I understand that.
I also feel with her a little bit of sadness from her life. I feel she must have suffered with quite a few losses quite close to her. And I feel a lot of that, there was a lot of lamenting and, you know, a bit of a depressive state that she got into. And then obviously with her illness led on to that as well. So that's why even more so, she appreciates the intervention. Would you understand that?
I can understand a couple of losses around her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know because sometimes you can see someone like saying earlier, you can see someone with a smile and a brave face his head when they're riding it.
Yeah.
So I don't have sort of not burden people with it.
It's everywhere. I think with her, she's just saying, you know, she didn't really always have the mental capacity to process these things. A lovely lady.
She was quite young, if you don't mind me saying, youngish. When I say young, don't mean she's into her like 40s, you know.
Yeah. It seems way
I'll
too
get
young.
how can I say without being rude? She's just a normal dance-worth lady, but I can't, you know, she wasn't as much as such to read books and all that, etc., you know, and she just learned from life and not, you know, educate herself.
Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what I'm seeing it.
Well, she's got this real sense of a gratitude, first of all, for people helping her in life.
Yeah, thank you.
And there seems to be this sort of sense of religion in the family, but not devout religion. Just very much, you know, it was a matter of fact most of the time. And she's found, I feel that she's also talking during her later life, steering her mind towards spiritual things, that people were saying the right things to her and you know, demonstrating the spirit rather than just talking about it. And I feel that a lot of that has helped her come back and communicate. It feels it's been a while since her passing,
Yes.
but in the sort of spiritual sense, I feel that she's still very much herself, you know?
Yeah, she started talking about this sort of movement lightly.
Yeah.
With one of her sisters.
Because I just,
on that direction.
Where her mind began deteriorating towards the end, I feel she became very much focused on everything she had learned, and it helped her with her transition. But I do feel also a period of time after where there was a lot of healing taking place. Sorry, it's just I feel this gentleman's just come in as well. And I feel related to this lady.
Okay.
I feel he must have been quite close to her, like a brother or someone. And he's quite a strong gentleman. And I feel very much protective, both of this lady and of you and the family. I feel much like a father figure.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, I feel very proud of you. I feel quite a tall, broad gentleman.
Right, I know that.
And I feel very much I've got really good standards and morals of myself. You know, I expect the best of myself. I expect the best of everyone else.
Fine.
And I feel quite, not that I'm hard with it, I'm quite friendly with it. I've got a good sense of humour.
Okay.
Let's make we'll all seriousness aside, if you can't find something funny, then there's something wrong with you, with this gentleman,
Right, thank you.
and he must have had terrible problems with his legs towards the end, because he was a tall gentleman, quite strong, thick set, but as he got older, this was making it harder. So I'm walking with quite a gait with this guy, and it's put my hips out and my knees out. So I've gone from quite a tall, strong gentleman to having to really watch how much I do and slow right down in life.
He was sort of gentleman. I've got him on my side, right? But he
Yeah.
wasn't a thick set type of feel. But like, he wasn't like slim, but he wasn't.
Well, I just feel towards the end, as
Yeah.
he's starting to struggle,
Yeah, thank
he
you.
was quite larger on top for
Yeah, thank
his
you.
legs, if that makes sense. And even though he must have been in quite a little bit of pain towards the end,
Okay.
he managed to keep quite a very upbeat attitude. He was always smiling and laughing and joking with people. Very comfortable around the ladies. He had a way of just being very natural and relaxed with them. And he's telling me you're also very similar to him in that way, where you can sit and talk with any group of people and just feel very much like it doesn't matter where they've come from or their background.
It sounds like my grandfather. He was short, he was shaking. It's just so, but in a nice way. But
Yeah.
the taller fella is. I want to tell him. I know you wouldn't like me telling you, but the lady's past. I've seen that as a father. He was tall,
Yeah.
not thick set. One of my grandfathers who never got to know Lord my mother. He was tall, big.
Well, I feel, very much more that similar with that grandfather than father.
The the people thing on that.
I've got a gentleman, he's wearing a tie, okay, but although he's wearing a tie, he's quite casual with it, quite a strong, hard-working, practical man. And I feel that there's a lot of grafters in the family, okay, and he's telling me that he managed to make fairly old bones for men in his family. That prior to that, they're all very hardworking, out in the fields, grafting, and they didn't live much past 50 odd, So, but he's telling me they used to live on bread and beer, and in that order.
Right.
But he's really got a lot of. He loved his life. He loved being out in the sunshine, and it's almost like the sun carried on shining from him when the sun went down. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was charged up in the sun and he carried it on after sunset.
That's my mother's father.
Okay, right. A big, bright, beaming man, and the more I talk about him, the stronger it gets almost. He likes being talked about. He's not got a massive ego. He's got a big personality.
Thank you.
He's telling me there's a big difference. And as he's smiling, he's shining. He must have had quite an aura about him. He goes, he feels you've been really motivated lately. You found a bit of a spring in your step.
That is correct, as it's spring.
And he's saying, what's her name?
Just signed up, but not signed up. I just started going to a few things like yoga, etc.
Goes because he likes,
mental.
be sociable, share yourself with the world. There's people that miss you. They don't see you enough.
Yeah, I've been told lately that I've got a lack of friends, but when you cut yourself off from certain people, you got to be aware. But that is spot on.
I feel that he walks with you. So whatever you're doing with your day to day, I feel he's going to be there with you.
Thanks very much.
I think he'd like a pint of beer. So,
thank you.
I'll leave his love with you. God
Thanks
bless
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for an excellent demonstration. And now I have some forthcoming events to announce to you all. Our guest mediums for the divine service at Wimbledon Spiritualist Church on Sunday, April the 12th, are John and Miriam Fitzgerald, who are joining us from Killiney, South County, Dublin, via a live in-church broadcast. That is next Sunday, April the 12th at 11 a.m. Please note Wimbledon Spiritualist Church YouTube Divine Services for each week can now be viewed via a link on our Facebook pages and website. The Healing Clinic for members of the community and animals is every Tuesday from 7 until 8:15 p.m. and Thursday from 10 a.m. until 12 noon at Wimbledon. You will be greeted by our healer practitioners in a safe and welcoming atmosphere, and donations apply. New events for spring 2026 include Friendship Club, which we have at Wimbledon every Wednesday from 11:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. Julie Caswell is hosting on April the 8th. The admission is £5, which includes refreshments. And our next Friendship Club mediumship is on May the 6th from 1 until 2 p.m. with guest Stuart Cooper. Please check weekly postings on the Wimbledon Spiritualist Church main page or Facebook group for further information. Development circles. Dawn Collinson's Open Circle runs every second and fourth Thursday of each month, and the next meeting is this coming Thursday, April the 9th, starting at 7 p.m. The admission is £7, and if you are interested in joining, please contact Dawn on her email address, which is dawncollinson80, that's dawncollinson80 at gmail.com. Open platform with myself, Phil Shaw. Please note the new time slot for 2026. The next open platform will be held on Saturday, April the 25th from 2 until 3:45, and we will then be bi-monthly in June, August, October and December. Some dates may be subject to change, but where possible, open platform will be held on the second Saturday of alternate months, with the exception of April the 25th and August the 22nd. Please check pre-event postings. Open platform is for intermediate, advanced and working mediums to polish your platform presentation skills, evidential mediumship, inspirational speaking and psychic art in a safe and supportive environment. Full details about Open Platform will be available to view on our website and Facebook pages in due course, and any inquiries related to Open Platform, please email myself, Phil Shaw, on philesoteric@gmail.com or on my Facebook page, Phil Shaw Spiritualist Medium. Demonstrations of mediumship. At Wimbledon on Sunday, April the 12th at 7 p.m, we have a special demonstration, of mediumship and psychic art with Ashley Robinson, Pink Sarah, and Helen Rogerson. Please see the promo description on our website and Facebook pages. Tickets are £6.50 if booked in advance, or £10 on the door. At Hackbridge Spiritualist Church on Friday, April the 24th at 7:30 p.m, we have a demonstration of mediumship with Jeff Hewitt. The admission is £5. And finally, at Wimbledon on Sunday, April the 26th at 7 p.m, we have a demonstration of mediumship with Ivan Lee and Ashley Robinson. And the admission price is £6.50 if booked in advance, or £10 on the door. Tickets can always be purchased via Eventbrite or pay by bank transfer, PayPal or cash at Wimbledon Church. Tickets are also available for each evening's demonstration at £10, as I've said, on the door. Please keep up to date with activities and special events, courses, workshops and demonstrations on the Wimbledon website and Facebook and Instagram pages, where you will find links to pre-event booking facilities. And the April diary of events plus an extended version is available now to view on our website and Facebook pages. And that concludes the forthcoming notices. My final reading will today be from William Shakespeare's The Tempest, and this will be followed by Stephen's closing prayer. Our revels now are ended. These, our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit, shall dissolve. And like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Thank you, Stephen.
Divine and Holy Spirit, as the service draws to a close and we go our separate ways, we ask to be blessed with that healing light and that those clear insights that our loved ones bring with us and for us. But we especially ask for healing and peace to be sent out to the Middle East, to our Christian, Jewish and Muslim brothers and sisters of all faiths around the world, that there can be some resolution to this conflict and that peace will prevail and stay that way for many years to come. Amen.
Thank you, Stephen, again for an excellent service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in church and online. I wish you all a very, very peaceful Easter Sunday and Easter Monday. God bless you all, and thank you again for joining us. Please, in church congregation, feel free to join us for cake and tea after the service. Thank you.